Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to July's edition of our Odoo webinar. Today's topic is about scaling trading margins and month-end reporting pilot with Odoo. Good afternoon, everyone. Without further ado, let's get started. I have a call for you. Have you ever felt like today's working for your business instead of it working for you? So have you ever felt like you're working for your business software instead of it working for you? If you have, drop to that chat or they'll comment, drop a yes. A question for you. Have you ever felt like to working? All right. So I'm seeing a couple of yeses and I's. Have you ever felt? And I think that's very normal, right? I think a lot of us, if you have gone through that, right, checking everything on Excel, adjusting typos, or even going through WhatsApp to checking customer orders and following up if they are paid yet, and even calling, your other department to see if there's a stock just before you want to confirm an order, right? We've all been there, but if you're here today, probably something ordering you that it's not the perfect way to do it. And there is another better way. So that's why we're doing this right. We are going to show you another solution and how you can run your business so that we can have everything structured, organized, and that we can end up running your business instead of it running you. So for today, my name is Alicia Wong. I am the partner manager here taking care of the Malaysian markets in Odoo. And today I'm joined by a very, very special guest, Simon Gan, CEO of GenTech and our local partner based in Malaysia. So Simon, good afternoon and welcome to our webinar, Markets in Odoo. And today I'm joined, thank you, our first guest. Jens, thank you so much for making the time to join. I know you're very busy taking care of a lot of inquiries and a lot of our customers, so appreciate you being here today. So just to shortly introduce GenTech and Simon. So GenTech is a Malaysia-based ERP software company and specializing in AI workforce and ERP solutions. So as a GRP OT partner, they help organizations modern adjust their operation by combining intelligent AI agents integrating into their business. So through their AI financial agents, which you will start later today, they empower businesses to make smarter decisions, improve their visibility, and accelerate their digital transformation. So there really is no better person today to talk to you about AI and into Jen Science. You will see it later today. Right. So onto the meat, onto the topic of today's webinar. We are going to talk all about running your business is an autopilot with great systems. So we know that a lot of Malaysian businesses are currently using legacy operations. And we also know that there is a new wave of Malaysian owners that are either new business owners themselves or inheriting or taking over a family business that has been there for generations. Right. So if you are in wholesale, distribution, trading, import, export, or retail, then this webinar is for you. We're going to show you how you can run and manage your entire company operation just on one single view out. We're going to show you how you can use AI on Odoo to optimize your day-to-day life. And you're going to be able to get CFO level insights through GenTech's Serve AI so that you can make smarter financial decisions in an instant. We're going to show you. So grab your notebooks and your pen. Let's get comfortable today. Dive into today. And you're going to be able to get CFO level insights. So first, sir, I think some of you are familiar with Odoo in our audience, but some of you might be some country for the first time. So let me tell you a short introduction of it. So Odoo is an all-in-one business management software that is useful and easy to use. It is founded by Fabian Pinkers, a Belgian guy that used to be an IT student. Fabian's parents worked on a farm, and he identified during his student day a problem that his parents were facing, right? They were managing the farm completely in pen and paper, and he thought that, there could be a better way for you to do it. Fabian's parents. So 20 years later, this is what we see on the left here, which you all know as Odoo based today. They were managing the farm. So Fabian's mission is to make sure that he, you know, everybody in the company can have full supervision, and also use see on the left here, which you all know as Odoo based today. They were managing the farm. So Fabian's mission is to make sure that we got, you know, everybody in the company can have full supervision, and also use, which you all know, we have a suite of portfolio, a suite of many different partners all around the world to bring you Odoo solutions. And we have a growth rate of 50% year on year. Also use. So when we say Odoo is for every single need, what do we mean? So from your sales team all the way to your inventory, to finance, to manufacturing, or to HR, we have apps that can help your every need. So when we say we like to challenge the markets, right? What you see on the left here is that many businesses are currently using standardized softwares. So one business might be using 3, 4, or even 8 different softwares to run their business. We need. What we see here is a lot of time they wasted, right? Switching from app to app, and a lot of our current a lot of documentation and data is less in this process. Hence, we have Odoo to have an all-in-one system so that no matter which app that you're using, everything will be integrated from sales to finance, purchasing, and everything. Documentation and data is in this. So let's have a look at the Malaysian industries and why we are here today. So we actually see that in Malaysia, the top industries that are using Odoo is wholesale, retail, manufacturing, maintenance, and hospitality, and tourism, and these F&B. So this is very relevant for today's webinar. People, a lot of you business owners fall into this category. And to finish, I would like to show you a suite of happy customers based in Malaysia that are using Odoo. As you can tell, that these are from many different industries, all the way from tech to F&B to distribution to manufacturing, and all using Odoo for different businesses. All right, so that's it for my quick introduction on Odoo. I know that you are here for the meat of the topic, which Simon will take away very shortly. And so thank you for being here, and we are going to pass it over to Simon from GenTech to give you the rest of the webinar.
Thank you, Alicia. Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for joining us. Today is not about showing you a long list of ERP features. It is about one practical question. Can your current way of working support growth without creating more costs, delay, and pressure on margin? So to make this real, we will follow one fresh bridge packet bean product through the full business journey, from stock shortage and full business and purchasing to warehouse control, delivery, invoicing, and payment. So Odoo will connect the operation, and ServeAI Finance will help management understand the financial result. By the end of the session, you will see how a trading business can move from one manual coordination and stop uncertainty to connected execution, stronger control, and clearer decision. All right, before we begin, let me briefly introduce myself. I'm Simon, founder and CEO of GenTech AI. At GenTech AI, we focus on turning real business pain points into practical Odoo and AI-powered solutions. Our role is not simply to implement software. We first understand how the business operates, identify where time, control, or visibility is being lost, and then design a solution that users can actually adopt. Today, Alicia and I will bring together two perspectives. Odoo provides the connected operational platform across sales, purchasing, inventory, warehouse, and finance. GenTech AI helps translate the platform into a working business solution and extend it with financial intelligence through ServeAI Finance. Let's look at what many trading businesses are dealing with today. On one side, supplier costs keep changing. Currency moves, freight gets more expensive, and delivery dates are not always predictable. So even when sales are growing, margin can still get squeezed. At the same time, customer want answers faster. They want to know, do you have stock? When can you deliver? Can you confirm today? And inside the business, things are getting more complicated. More products, more batches, more expiry dates, more warehouse movements, and more people involved. The problem starts with sales, purchasing, warehouse, and finance are all working with different information. Then people start calling each other, checking spreadsheets, chasing updates, and fixing mistakes. So growth itself is not the problem. The real issue is whether the business can handle that growth without creating more costs, more delay, and more pressure on margin. So that is the key question for today. Is the business growing in a controlled way, or is the complexity growing faster than the business? So to make today's session easier to follow, we are not going to jump from one feature to another. Instead, we will follow one company and one product through the entire business journey. Alicia, for today, you will be the director of FreshBridge. Perhaps you can introduce the company to everyone.
Sure, Simon. I'm Alicia. Now I am the director of FreshBridge. So FreshBridge is a Malaysian FMCG distributor. We import food products from overseas suppliers, keep the stock in a local warehouse, and distribute it to supermarkets and convenience stores all across Malaysia. Okay, we are let's for this webinar, let's focus on a product called Fresh Beans, our baked beans product. So we purchased the product from our overseas supplier in US dollars, and we sell it locally in Malaysian ringgit. So because it's a food product, we need to make sure we track the batch number and the expiration date carefully. The product might look simple, but it involves many teams. So we have the sales team to sell the product. The purchase needs to make sure that it replenishes at the right time. The warehouse needs to receive, pick, and store in the correct batch. And finance needs to collect supplier payments and customer collections. I, as a director, I need to understand whether the business is becoming stronger.
Yeah, exactly. And this is why we selected one baked bean can as the main character of today's story, right? And can see along the way, we will see how one product connects all these different departments together. And as Alicia mentioned, we also see where the process can break and when the teams are not working from the same information. So let's begin with the daily challenges that FreshBreeze is facing. Alicia, now that everyone understands the FreshBreeze business, perhaps you can share the three main problems your team is facing today.
Sure. I think on the surface, our business is growing, but we are getting more and more stressed, right? So we're having more customers, more orders, collecting more stocks, and working with more suppliers, right? So the team is under a lot of pressure. So the first problem that we're facing is inventory blind spot. Okay, so sales may see one number on the screen, but actually in reality, in the warehouse, there is a different picture. So when a customer asks, can you deliver 500 cartons? Sales cannot really answer confidently, right? They usually have to call the warehouse, wait for a reply, and then confirm this to the customer. Okay, so sometimes we lose time, sometimes we lose and we overpromise, right? And if the warehouse picks the wrong batch, we also create an expiry risk. All right, so that's the first problem. The second problem that we see is reactive procurement. So purchasing might find out about the shortage only after sales confirms the order, right? So the customer might need the stock in 3 days, but the supplier can only, the supplier lead time is 25 days. This means that my team is going to start firefighting. They're going to pay extra money for express freight, maybe extra money for higher costs of the product, and we end up in a frenzy, right? So this is the second problem, reactive procurement. Now, the third problem is unclear financial picture, right? So I, as a director, I have our profit and loss sheet and our balance sheet, but finance needs to really explain to me what's happening. And I need to answer some hard questions. Is our margin really, really improving? Why do I still feel like our cash is tied up? And what else can I do for my business to keep it going? So the reports are there, but I still can't seem to find the answers.
Very good. Yeah, so then that is the important point because these are not really software problems, but they are everyday business problems. So in the next few slides, we are going to take these three headaches and follow one bucket bin order through the entire journey. So let's see exactly where the pressure starts. So Elisha, these three problems may look operational on the surface. Sales is checking stock, purchasing is preparing an RFQ, finance is matching documents, management waiting for explanation. But if Fresh Bridge keeps working this way, what does it actually cost the business?
Yeah, I think that's the concern, right? So each task looks small when you look at it one by one, right? For example, sales might spend 15 minutes on checking whether the stock is available, right? So they open the spreadsheet, they call the warehouse, they wait for someone to check, and then they reply to the customer, right? 15 minutes might not sound serious, but 15 minutes every day across many, many salespeople, right? We're not only losing working hours, we're also slowing down the customer response. So while we are checking, the customer might already have gone to a different supplier and proceeded with them.
Yeah, so the cost is not just the 15 minutes.
Exactly. The visible cost is our staff time, right? The hidden cost is a slower quotation, delayed commitment, and sometimes we lose the order altogether, right? Purchasing faces the same issue, right? If the buyer only discovers a shortage after the customer confirm, then they need to check multiple files, check the quantity, contact suppliers, and then prepare an urgent RFQ, right? This whole thing might take 30 minutes or more, but then again, the cost is not just 30 minutes. The cost is the added time, right? Or the added money that I'll pay to bring the bring the goods in faster, might need to pay more for a higher purchase price, and everything is in a frenzy.
And how about finance?
Right. So when a supplier invoice arrives, finance might spend 20 minutes comparing the purchase order to the goods received to the invoice. So if there is a mismatch, we might not see it and we might end up overpaying, right? If it's found too late, then the supplier payment is delayed and the team spends a lot of time investigating this, right? So when it comes to management reporting, right, the team might spend several hours creating the reports, looking at the ratios and the numbers, right? And while all of this work is happening, management is waiting. And when management is waiting, decisions cannot be made.
I see. So the same manual work creates several layers of costs.
Correct. So, of course, like what we talked about, there is the time cost, right? Spending a lot of time chasing, following up, calling. Then there is the cash flow cost, right? Spending more on rush deliveries, paying more and incorrect payments, right? Then there is the margin cost, okay? Expiry losses, over ordering, price errors. And then finally, there's the decision cost, right? Management reacts later. And so that because of this, information and things take slower to happen in a business.
Right. So that is the key point. Doing nothing is not free. The spreadsheet may be free, but the work around it is not. And the cost does not normally appear as one large invoice. It appears quietly, a few minutes here, one delayed order there, one urgent shipment, one mismatch, one overdue customer, and even one slow management decision. So over time, those small inefficiencies become a real operating cost.
Correct. So, as my business grows, the cost grows with it, right? More orders means more checking, more products means more complexity, more suppliers means more invoices to validate. So if we do not improve the process, the problem does not stay the same. It actually grows bigger.
Yeah, exactly. So that is what we mean by the cost of inaction. So the question is not only how much will a new system cost. The better question is how much is the current way of working already costing the business every day? And let's make that hidden cost visible. So from this point onward, we are going to keep the story very simple. We'll follow one product, fresh bridge packet beans, through one complete business journey. First, we look at the stock's run flow. Then the system detects the demand and triggers replenishment. Purchasing buys from the overseas supplier in US dollars. When the shipment arrives, the warehouse receives the goods, captures the batch and expiry dates, and put the stock in the correct location. And when a customer order is ready, the system selects the earliest expiring lot first, guides the warehouse team to pick it, and prepares the delivery. After that, finance issues the customer invoice, monitors the due date, and follow-ups until payment is collected. Finally, all of these activities flow into the profit and loss and balance sheet, and so where finance helps management understand what the numbers are really saying. So this is not 8 separate software features. It is one product moving through one connected business, and this is the exact journey we are going to demonstrate live. So now the story begins. FreshBridge receives a new order from a major retail customer. The customer wants 500 cartons of baked beans, and they want delivery within 3 days. And from the customer side, the request sounds simple. Can you confirm delivery today? But for sales, this is where the pressure starts. The customer needs 500 cartons, while the warehouse currently has only 180 cartons physically available. So before sales confirms anything, they need to answer one basic question. Can we really deliver this order on time? In many businesses, this is where people start checking spreadsheets, calling the warehouse, and waiting for someone to verify the stock. The problem is that the customer is waiting and the salesperson is under pressure to commit quickly. If sales says yes without reliable information, FreshBridge may overpromise. If sales takes too long to answer, the customer may place the order somewhere else. So the issue here is not only stock quantity, it is whether sales can make a confident customer promise based on the latest information. And now, let's look at how sales can see before confirming the order. And let me switch on to the live demo. So this is a sales bridge, a fresh bridge portal, login portal for Odoo. So let's say I'm logging in as Daniel, as a sales. And this is the dashboards, the main screen of Odoo that have many different apps together over here. Now, first, Daniel have received a request of 500 carton for baked beans. And for Daniel to quickly check the stocks available, he can go into the AI features of Odoo. Over here is Ask AI. You can bring out the AI user interface and then just simply ask, for example, do you have 500 carton for baked bean? So Odoo AI will actually search across the database and then give the answer immediately without Daniel have to ask around via the spreadsheet. You can see over here, it will immediately answer the questions of the stocks available. So immediately, Daniel is able to actually provide the insights or even be able to manage customer action that maybe we do not have enough stock and we will have days of wait time to fulfill the requirements. Okay, let me just jump back to slides.
Okay.
All right,
So,
so yeah, Alicia?
so Simon, I see that sales can see the stock clearly. I think that's great, but I can see that we have a problem, right? So the customer wants 500 cartons, but only 100 cartons are actually available for this order, right? That means that we're short of 400 cartons. So the customer wants the order in 3 days, but our supplier lead time is 25 days. So what can we realistically do here?
So this is exactly where many businesses move from normal planning into firefighting. The shortage is now visible, which is good. But knowing that we are short is only useful if the information reaches purchasing early enough to trigger the action. So in this case, Fresh Bridge needs 500 cartons, but there are only 180 cartons available. And so only 100 cartons available for this order, and that leaves a shortage of 400 cartons.
Right. But if the supplier needs 25 days and the customer only gives us 3 days, isn't it already too late?
For this particular order, it may be difficult to fulfill everything within 3 days, unless there's another source of supply or partial delivery arrangement. And there is a business lesson here. The purpose of connected replenishment is not to magically reduce a 25-day supplier lead time to 3 days. It is to make sure procurement sees the demand and shortage much earlier before the business reaches this situation. So if the system is monitoring demand, available stock, reserve stock, incoming supply, and supply lead time continuously, procurement can act before the shelf becomes empty.
I see. So instead of waiting for an urgent message from sales or warehouse, the shortage itself should trigger a purchasing within the system.
Exactly. The demand should create the action. The system already knows how much the customer needs, how much stock is available, how much is reserved, and how long the supplier usually takes. From there, it can calculate the required quantity and prepare the purchasing action for review. So this reduces late surprises, emergency freight, and last-minute over-ordering. And let's now see how this 400 carton shortage becomes an RFQ automatically. I'll just switch on back to the system. Now, I know that that is not enough, but again, I have managed the customer expectation and I have to create a sales order. So I can just continue to instruct the AI to create a sales order for MB groceries. Okay, 500 carton of packet bean. So I can even go into the sales app, and this is where I can create from here. I can even ask the AI to help me to create the order. And the AI will confirm all the informations, and I just confirm the creation of sales order, and it will automatically create the sales order for me. Okay, and I can just add my product with 500 cartons. All right. And then you can see over here, there's a red that indicate that there's not enough of stocks available. But anyway, I have managed expectation and I will just confirm with the customer for this. So we have created the sales order for this. And then now let me log in as the procurement team. So just as procurement, she actually log into the system. All right. So over here, first of all, let me just look at the product configuration. So we have a premium backup beans over here. And that is the smart chip over here. And let me just look at the reordering rules. So I can create a reordering rules as automation. For example, that when there is hit minimum of 100, then it will automatically replenish or trigger the RFQ to replenish the order for this. So by setting this, whenever there's a stock below the 100 carton, it will automatically create an RFQ. And let me go back to the purchase app itself. And you can see that a PO is actually created automatically with all this information and how many quantity to actually fulfill and what is the unit price that being set for for this supplier itself. And once I have reviewed all the information, then we just confirm the order and even send the RFQ to the supplier to prepare for the order fulfillment. All right. So what you have just seen is the key difference between a reactive purchasing and demand-driven purchasing. FreshBridge did not wait for someone from sales or warehouse to send an urgent email. The system already knew the confirmed demand, how much stock was available for this order, the safety stock requirement, and the incoming supply. From there, it calculated that FreshBridge needed to purchase another 400 cartons in order to fulfill the order. It then applied the supply information, including the 25-day lead time and the purchasing frequency, and prepared the RFQ for review. So instead of the buyer opening several spreadsheets, calculating the shortage manually, and creating the RFQ from scratch, the demand itself created the purchasing action. It doesn't mean the system removes procurement's responsibility. The buyer still reviews the quantity, supplier timing, and commercial terms before confirming the order. But the manual preparation work is reduced, and the team can act earlier with better information. So this is the real value here: the right quantity, the right supplier, and earlier action. In our illustrative scenario, something that could take around 30 minutes to prepare is now generated automatically and ready for review. All right, so the next part of the story is the overseas purchase itself, because this supplier sells in US dollars while FreshBridge reports in Malaysia ringgit. So I just quickly switch back to the order. Now we have seen this purchase order. If we have looked into, this is built in USD, but it automatically converts into a ringgit Malaysia. So how does this work? Now let me look into the configuration of settings. If I just look for currency, here there's actually a currency table that you can configure what is the currency support and what is the conversion rate of it. And the best part of it is that you can either set a manual currency conversion, or it is basically available connecting, for example, Bank of Negara Malaysia rate, and then automatically synchronize and download the latest rate into the currency. And when there's a currency exchange rate being applied, so whenever you issue a foreign bill or foreign currency, foreign invoice, then it will automatically apply the conversion rate into the local currency itself. All right, so 25 days later, the shipment arrives at the FreshBridge warehouse. The FreshBridge ordered 400 cartons, but when the warehouse team checks the delivery, only 390 cartons are physically there. So immediately, we already have a difference of 10 cartons. At the same time, the goods are all not all from one batch. We have two different lots, and each lot has a different expiry date. So this is why receiving is not just about unloading the truck and counting boxes. The warehouse needs to confirm what actually arrived, record the shortage, capture the correct lot and expiry information, and make sure the goods go to the right storage location. If this is done manually, a few things can go wrong. The quantity difference may not be recorded properly, the batch and expiry details may be entered incorrectly, or the pallet may be placed in the wrong warehouse zone simply because someone is making the decision based on experience or convenience. So the key question here is, can every carton be validated, traced, and stocked correctly without depending on manual judgment? And let's now see how Odoo handles the receipt, captures the information, and guides the warehouse team to the correct location. All right, now I will log out and I will log in as Emily as the operation team. Okay, so let me just open the inventory app. You can see that there is an expectation of receipts for the goods itself. Okay, so you can see the different informations for the vendors. And then when you click on it, the details, you can have all the different receipt informations together with the details of the lot itself. And you can see that there is auto routing to the stock and rack tray. So before we continue with this, let me just sidetrack to the configuration of the stock itself. And this is what we call as the put away rule. So we can even configure how the put away rules for different products or product category into different location in the warehouse itself. For example, over here, you can have rack number 1, 2, and 3. So when there is always a goods of FMCG of can, they come in, then it will automatically route the location into rack 1 or rack 2 or rack 3 itself. Now, let me just go back to the inventory. So imagine that we have these goods available, coming at the recipient zone in the warehouse itself, and then I can put in the different lot number to it, or I can even generate the lots itself. Now, what happened is that it's expecting that there should be 1,004 cartons coming in, but when I receive, it's only 1,390 cartons being received over here. So it generates a lot number for this one, and then I can actually change the expiration date. Maybe for this batch itself, it's coming in, the expiry for this batch is actually 2 years later. All right, or sorry, I can just change it. Maybe it's not 2 years. So this batch is coming in at the expiry will be on 27th of July 2027. All right, so when I save it, now I will validate the receipt of this order. Odoo will detect that there is an outstanding of 10 cartons are not being fulfilled, which is what you call as back order. So we can create a back order to track the remaining balance of it. Okay, so now the stock has been received, the lots are recorded, and the pallets are stored in the warehouse. But there's still one important risk. FreshBridge has multiple lots of the same baker beans. Some are expired earlier and some are expired later. So the customer needs the orders today. If the warehouse picker simply chooses the nearest or easiest pallet, they may pick the wrong one because it's more convenient. That means the earlier expiry stocks stays behind. And if that happens repeatedly, the older stock keeps aging until it becomes difficult or impossible to sell. So this is where a small warehouse decision becomes a margin problem. The sequence is simple. The older lot remains, the expiry date gets closer, the stock may need to be written off, and the margin is reduced. The picker is not doing anything wrong on purpose. The real problem is that the process depends too much on manual checking and personal judgment. So the key question is, should the picker choose the nearest pallet, or should the system guide them to the lot that expires first? For SMCG business, expiry control is not only a warehouse issue, it is also an inventory value and margin protection issue. So now let's see how Odoo compares the expiry dates and reserves the correct lot automatically. So let me just jump back to Odoo. Now, first of all, I can go to the reporting and the detail stock itself and group by my product. I can see all the different lots in my product. For example, we have these premium baker beans. Now we have two different lots over here, rack 3 and rack 2. And we look at the lot by clicking the first one. We can see the expiry is on July 6, 27. Then we look at another one, rack number 2. It is on July 27, July 27, 2027. All right, so let me just go back to the inventory overview dashboard, and I have an order to be delivered today. Okay, so I have this customer who have ordered the stocks of 500, and for me to prove on, I can click on details. It will show me to pull out the dates. The first one is coming from the rack 3, which is the earlier expiration, and then after that, once it's finished, then it will come back with another one, a rack number 2 with different batch, which is on 27. So it will choose the one, this is what we call first expiry, first out routing itself. Now, when I save it, and I can just validate and pass it over to the delivery to the courier to actually deliver these stocks to them. Okay.
Awesome. So, Simon, I see that the goods have been delivered and the customer invoice has already been issued. Okay, so, but I see that now the invoice is 5 days overdue. At this point, my team will check the aging report, right? Look through the emails and ask who has already followed up. So I'm sure there's a better way to do it. So can you tell me how this can be managed?
Okay. So before finance approves the payment, we need to compare the trade records. So what fresh
Oh,
brief? Yeah,
correct.
yes.
Right.
Yeah, because it's very important to make the right payment. And you need to compare trade records, what fresh wish order, what the warehouse actually received, and what the supplier is now billing. Here you can see that purchase order says 400 cartons at USD 6. The goods received says only 390 cartons arrived, but the supplier invoice says 400 cartons at USD 8.
So actually, we are being charged 10 extra cartons that we never received, and the price is also higher than what we agreed.
Exactly. So the 10 cartons bill are not received, create an exposure of $80. And the $2 price difference across the 390 cartons received adds another $780. That means that the potential overpayment is around $900 in this example.
Wow, if my finance team don't notice this, then we might just pay the wrong amount.
Yes. So that is why an invoice should not be treated as ready for payment just because it has arrived. Finance needs to know, did we agree to this quantity? If we actually receive it, is the price correct? And when the records do not match, the payment should stop until someone reviews the exception.
I see. So finance should not need to manually open up all these three documents and check it manually every time.
Correct. Odoo can link the purchase order, the goods receipt, and the supplier invoice together. It checks the quantity, the price, and the receipt status. And when something does not match, it flags the difference and places the vendor bill on hold. Let's see how the three-way mesh prevents this incorrect payment from moving forward. Now I'm going to switch back to the Odoo, and then let me just log in as a finance. Okay, so John is logging in as a finance. Right, so John have received the bill from the supplier. He pulled out the purchase order, which is this, was ordered for 1,004 quantity. And then what he's going to do is that at the top left, he's going to upload the bill provided by the supplier. So once it upload, the system will automatically pull out all this information. And then I'll just put in the billing date. And over here, there is $8. All right. Then I will just confirm. And then I just, sorry, let's go to draft. And actually I received 1,400. After, all right. Now, what happened is that over here, there's an overview. You can see that there is a quantity being issued under PO. It's received as 1,390 cartons, and it's being billed for 1,004 cartons. Okay, and then if what I would do is that as a finance, I can just ask AI, can I pay this bill? So what AI will do, it will cross-compare with all these three documents, and then it will be able to give you the recommendations or the analysis that whether this bill is cleared to be paid. Okay, all right. So you can see that it will highlight to you the discrepancies, the price difference, and then the quantity mismatch over here. All right. So that is where you can actually maybe send a message to the procurement or to the warehouse to clarify, or even stop the payment for this one.
Wow, that is very cool. Now, back to the question on invoicing. So our invoice is 5 days overdue. Normally, my finance team is going to check the aging report, look at the follow-ups, see if what we need to do next. Can this be done better, Simon?
Yeah, this is where a structured follow-up process becomes important. For example, if invoice is for 12,750 with 30 days payment terms, once the due date passes, Odoo automatically move the invoice into the correct follow-up stage. For example, here's the first overdue reminder. that has already been sent.
I see. So actually, finance doesn't need to remember which customer should be contacted today.
Correct. The system keeps track of the due date, the reminder stage, who owns the follow-up, and what should happen next. For this invoice, the reminder has been sent automatically. The customer has opened it, the account is still waiting payment, and the next action is already scheduled to escalate in 2 days if there's still no response.
I see. And what happens if the customer pays before then?
So once the payment is received and matched, the invoice status change to paid, and the customer balance is clear. If it is still outstanding, then the next reminder or escalation continues according to the agreed follow-up schedule. So every overdue invoice always has a clear status and a clear next action.
Ah, that means my finance doesn't need to rely on spreadsheets, calendar, reminders, or personal memory anymore.
Yeah, exactly. So the system remembers the follow-up. So finance does not have to. The team still manages the customer relationship and decides how to handle sensitive cases. But the routine monitoring and scheduling are controlled automatically. The benefit is simple. Reminders are more consistent, ownership is clear, and overdue balances are less likely to be forgotten. And with this, sales, procurement, warehouse, and finance have completed one connected transaction. And let me just show quickly about how the reminder works. Now, I will just go to the configuration and settings, and I will look for the reminder configuration. So over here, I can turn on the automatic invoice reminders. When I just click on manage automatic reminders, I can configure the different settings. For example, I can say, the 5 days before the due date, send a payment reminder. Maybe 30 days or even 1 day after due date, send another reminder, a follow-up reminder, second reminder, third reminder, and maybe after 90 days after the due date, I will be able to maybe block the client account from being able to process further orders itself. And once this is set over here, let me just go back to the accounting and invoices. Here we can have a quick glance about all the different invoices that is pending, that is actually putting in the due date for that. And then of course, there you can see that it's actually noting down what are the last reminder being sent. And for example, if it is sent as the outstanding reminder, now customer will receive a reminder saying that there is a pending invoice, there's outstanding invoice to send it. So all these things are automated without finance to manually follow up and chase for payment or remind payment for all the different customers itself. So what we have just followed is one customer order moving through the entire fresh business. Sales confirmed the order, purchasing secured the additional stock, inventory was updated, the warehouse received, stored, picked, and delivered the goods. Finance controlled the supplier invoice, issued the customer invoice, and scheduled the follow-up. The important point is that these were not separate activities happening in separate systems. They were all part of one connected transaction. Customer order created demand, demand triggered purchasing, purchase created incoming stock, the warehouse received updated inventory, and delivery created the customer invoice. And finance could see the latest status without asking every department for an update. That means the business enters information once, and each team works from the same latest record. So there is less repeated data entry, fewer calls between departments, and much better visibility across the whole process. Management can also see both progress and exceptions. The customer order is completed, the supplier invoice is on hold for review, the customer invoice follow-up is active. And so this is what a connected platform really means. It is not only about putting sales, purchasing, warehouse, and finance to one system. It is about allowing one business event to update every team automatically. And the operation is now connected. So up to this point, we've been looking at the operational journey. But from finance point of view, these are not just operational activities. Every one of them creates a financial impact. When the customer invoice is posted, revenue and receivables are recorded. When the goods are delivered, inventory goes down and cost of sales is recognized. When the customer pays, cash goes up and receivables are cleared. The same applies on the supplier side. The purchase, goods received, and vendor bill all contribute to inventory value, expenses, and payables. The important point is that finance does not need to rebuild this story manually because the operational transactions are already captured in Odoo. The accounting records are created from those real business activities. And that is why we say every transaction posts once. From there, the profit and loss shows how the business performed over the period, and the balance sheet shows the financial position, cash, the receivables, the inventory, payables, debt, and equity. So this is the connection. The operation creates the accounting records, and the accounting records create the financial statements. And there is less repeated entry. The reports stay aligned with the actual business transaction, and finance as one trusted source. Now the statements are ready. The next question is whether management can quickly understand what those statements are really saying.
Exactly. So, Simon, I now have the profit and loss and the balance sheet, and the reports look complete and I trust the numbers. But when I look at them, I still have a lot of questions. For example, the revenue is going up, but are we really becoming more profitable? Right? Why does the cash still feel tight? Right? And are my inventory and receivables becoming too high? Right? I want to know what I should focus on.
Yeah, that is a very common management problem. The reports tell you what happened, but they do not always make the business meaning immediately obvious. For example, the P&L may show that revenue and profit increase. It sounds positive, but at the same time, the balance sheet may show that inventory and receivables are increasing even faster.
So the company can look more profitable, but still have more cash tied up in the business.
Exactly. Just growth does not automatically mean the company is financially stronger. If more money is sitting in stock or customers are taking longer to pay, the business may still face working capital and liquidity pressure.
And normally I would need finance to analyze all of this and explain this to me.
Yes. Finance will compare the periods, calculate the ratios, review the movements, and then summarize a story for management. The work is valuable, but it takes time. So the issue is not that the financial reports are wrong. The issue is the gap between having the numbers and understanding what they mean.
Hmm. Yeah, what I really want is just a simple answer. Right? Are we becoming financially stronger? What are my current risks? And what should management do next?
Yeah, exactly. So that is where our self-AI finance comes in. It uses the trusted P&L and balance sheet as a source, then helps management compare the periods, interpret the movements, and ask follow-up questions in natural language. So the next question is, what if you could ask your financial statements directly? And self-AI finance sits on top of the trusted financial statements. It does not replace Odoo accounting, and it does not change the underlying records. Instead, it helps management analyze the statements, compare the periods, calculate the ratios, identify important movements, and turn the numbers into a clear business explanation. So instead of management asking finance to manually prepare every answer, they can ask questions such as, is profitability improving? Why is working capital getting tighter? How healthy is our liquidity? What should management focus on first? So where finance then explains the answer using the P&L and balance sheet as the source. The important boundary is that this is management level financial interpretation. It is not product level, customer level, or transaction level analysis. The role of Odoo is to produce the trusted financial foundation, and the role of self-AI finance is to help management understand the foundation faster. So the simple message is Odoo produces the trusted statement, and self-AI finance helps management understand them. And let's now ask the fresh brief some financial statements, what management needs to know. Let me just switch back to the demo. All right, so this is, we have Survive Finance, and then we will log into Survive Finance. First of all, we have connected the Odoo FreshBridge data itself, and then perform the analysis. Now, of course, we have the quick dashboard analysis to explain the different financial statements, provide a generated insights to analyze and giving stories and explaining all the different insights about the financial of the company. and then what are the recommended actions to be done, and for every single revenue, then for every single measures and metrics, then it will be able to explain the every single metrics over here. So we can look from a different angle perspective, from profitability perspective, to be able to generate and explain and understand the different metrics and how are we performing. And we can also look at, for example, the liquidity situation of the company. So with the same financial statement of P&L and balance sheet, AI will generate multiple dimensions of analysis to around surrounding the customer and surrounding the company itself. And let me just, and then if let's say this is an additional question they need to be asked. So Survey Finance provide a chat capability. For example, you may need to ask about maybe, let's say, are we financially healthy for FreshBridge? So the AI will again be able to reason itself, think about the questions, structure the action items, and then to query and search for the data based on the question being asked by the user itself. And then from there, it will be able to actually show and explain the results and answers towards the customer's question itself. I can see that, then it will generate the graph, and then it will give the explanations about the information. All right, so basically, and from there, then the management will be able to get their results instead of getting sometimes from the finance to actually calculate and generate the explanation for the customer. I can see that you'll be able to calculate the different ratios and provide the explanations of it. And it's able to even be able to connect to, let's say, WhatsApp or Telegram, and where the finance, sorry, the management may be able to ask questions about the business on the go without have to log in through the laptop or computer itself. So after seeing what Odoo and Survey AI Finance can do, the natural question is, how should a business begin? Now we have recommended three steps that we recommend. The first tip is to start small. Do not try to transform the whole company on day one. Choose one process where the pain is clear and the value is easy to see. For example, customer order to replenishment and fulfillment. One pain, one process, one outcome. The second tip is to design for people. A system can be very powerful, but if daily users find it difficult, adoption will suffer. The warehouse team should see a clear scanning instruction. Sales should see one reliable stock answer. Finance should see one clear exception. Complexity can stay behind the scenes. The user experience should remain simple and guided. The third tip is to prove then scale. Start with a focused pilot. Measure whether it saves times, reduces errors, improves fulfillment, and gives better visibility. Once the value is proven, then expand into more processes, more teams, or more branches. That is the safest approach. It lowers implementation risk, helps users adopt faster, and makes the return on investment easier to understand. So the simple message is, start with one high-impact process, make it easy for people to use, and scale only after the value is proven. And this is how GenTech AI works with clients. We do not begin by jumping straight into software setup. We begin by understanding the business problem. First, we listen to the management team and the actual users. We look at where time is being lost, where people are doing repeated manual work, where information is disconnected, and where the business is exposed to risk. The goal is to identify the problem that matters most. Second, we design the future process around how the business actually works. We simplify unnecessary steps, connect the teams, and define clear ownership and control points. Process should fit the business, not force the business to fit a generic template. Third, we demonstrate the proposed solution using the client's own scenario. So this is important because users can see whether the process is practical before implementation begins. They can ask questions, challenge the design, and refine the workflow. Once everyone agrees that the process makes sense, we move into implementation. That includes data preparation, configuration, user training, go-live support, and continuous improvement after launch. The client team is involved at every stage. Business owners provide direction, operations and finance validate the process, users confirm whether the solution is practical, and GenTech team supports the design, implementation, and adoption. So our approach is simple. Understand the pain, design the right process, prove it with the users, and support the business beyond go live. So to close today's session, the next step is very simple. You do not need to commit to a full ERP transformation immediately. We can start with one focused conversation about the biggest pain point in your business. It could be inventory and fulfillment, it could be finance control, or it could be management visibility. Usually, the approach is start with one process, prove the value, then scale. But the purpose of the consultation is not to sell you everything at once. It is to help you clarify the opportunity, see the solution, and design what the most sensible next step should be. My contact details are shown on the right. You can reach me through the website, WhatsApp, or email, or scan the QR code to continue the conversation. Thank you again for joining us today, and we hope the session has given you a clearer picture of how Odoo can connect the operation and how Serve AI Finance can help management understand the financial result. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Simon, for that wonderful presentation. I think you really help us understand what companies are facing if we stick to a manual process, right? It's what we learned today that is not necessarily wrong, but it can bring up a lot of hidden costs, right? And you also provided us with an explanation of what we can do, right, to turn this cost, right, into an opportunity. Right. And so thank you so much for that clear demonstration on Odoo, all the way from the sales to inventory until Serve AI, which is the financial insight AI agent that you developed. So I hope everyone can now understand, right, how you can use Odoo and also AI to improve your process. Now it's time for us to move to the Q&A section. So I can see a lot of questions trickling in on the YouTube chat. So Simon, I'll read it up to you, and feel free to take them. So the first question we have from Chi Kiwi Kiwi is, can Odoo do my invoice too?
You mean the LCMI invoice?
Correct.
Yes. Yes, Odoo supports these LCN e-invoicing requirements through its Malaysian localization and direct integration with the My Invoice platform. Right.
Right. Thank you so much, Simon. Now, Andrew CYH asks, Mr. Gan can only do for a single PO. Can AI able to generate a list for invoice matching? So doing this on a bigger scale. So doing the three-way invoice matching on a bigger scale instead of the one example that you demonstrated.
As a batch
Yes,
process. Yes, Odoo supports the automation script. We can write the automation script in Odoo to actually do the processing as a batch itself.
Thank you. And another question from Joanne Chalk. She says, this needs time and effort to understand. I want to know if GenTech is an Odoo partner or we need to pay for the training. So Joanne, if I understand you correctly, you're asking how GenTech can support businesses that are starting up, right? They want to start up an ERP, and if GenTech provides any training for that.
Yeah. Yes, we do provide training, and we also provide consultancy. So let's say that we can come in and understand your problem statement, help you to design the entire transformation journey, or based on the problem statement, the pain point that you are having today, and how we can use Odoo to help you to resolve the business pain point.
Exactly. I think having seen Simon serve many of our customers, the process is really to understand what your business looks like, where you want to go, and plan out, right, the necessary transformation step by step to get there, right? Not doing everything at once, but just making it bite-sized and simple. All right. We have a next question also from Chi Kiwi Kiwi. She's asking, does Surf AI have limit to your AI tokens?
The Surf AI has limit on last part,
The AI tokens.
AI token. No, our subscription actually include the tokens itself, hence there's no limit for the token. And client don't have to actually purchase another tokens just to use the Surf AI Finance.
All right. Thank you for that. I have another question from CSSU8153. They're saying that they're currently using AutoCount accounting software. So how would you switch to Odoo?
So there would be basically, usually we have two different scenarios, which we also have certain clients who are having this scenario where they're using AutoCount, but they are solving a different problems of CRM and warehouse inventory. So option one is some customers may want to retain their accounting. We make it as a planned journey that we first to integrate with AutoCount. We define what are the documents of finance process that is belong to AutoCount, and using Odoo as the operations for the other departments, especially on the inventory and warehouse. And that's stage one. And then after that, only we move to stage two for certain clients who want to migrate or even replacing their AutoCount software with Odoo. So we migrate the accounting data into Odoo and plan out the entire integrations and operations of the accounting process in Odoo.
Great. Thanks, Simon. And we have time for one last question. So I will take this one. If I choose to use Odoo long term, does a typical integration between Odoo and GenTech AI, how long does a typical integration between Odoo and GenTech AI take before we can see our first executive dashboard?
All right, so we have the ready connector to Odoo. As long as you start using Odoo, you can immediately integrate with the GenTech Surf AI Finance and immediately be able to visualize and analyze the financial data generated by Odoo itself. So it's a ready connector. It's ready to onboard immediately.
Amazing. All right, folks, that's all the time we have left for today. If you are interested in speaking further to Simon and his GenTech team, please feel free to take a screenshot of the screen right now so that you can contact them on all of their channels listed below. So thank you very much, everyone, for your time, for tuning in today. Our team is always ready to answer any of your questions. And if we didn't answer some of your questions today, please feel free to reach out to myself or Simon, and we'll be happy to help you. For now, wish you all a good Wednesday and have a lovely evening. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.